After Kosovo, I got promoted, became a general commander, set up a new division called Theatre Troops, which is exactly as it sounds, the strolling players, just about everything that wasn't in the fighting division, so deep strike artillery, armoured reconnaissance, logistics, communications, engineering, intelligence. 13 brigades, 34,000 soldiers, mixture about 65% regular army, 35% territorial army, so an extraordinary command. They were critical to the deployment for the British military during the Second Gulf War. Two observations that I would make. The first is, it is absolutely true that Donald Rumsfeld, when questioned by the British, remarked, "We do not do nation building." And I remember groaning inwardly and saying, "We've lost it before we start." He has now been publicly quoted as that, and of course he was removed. And I'm sure that Rumsfeld has many very fine qualities, but I fear that that set the tone for the aftermath after the fight. Was it Dennis Brenner, who was the Beltway bandit, as I call him, the chap from Washington who came as the first pro-consul? He very much enacted that particular piece. But going back to the British preparations for the Second Gulf War, the frustration for all of us who were going to have to go and do anything was that because the politicians in the United Kingdom did not want to send a message that they'd already made the decision to go, meant that we were neither allowed to procure new equipment, which we needed, nor were we allowed to send in our logistics, either to receive equipment as it came, or to prepare equipment once it had come, or to load equipment. So, for instance, one of my regiments was the mounting regiment at a place called Marchwood, a military dock, and you load all your tanks and everything else onto ships. This is serious business, and it takes a long time to travel around to Iraq, and you're not necessarily going to go through the Suez Canal to do it either, not if you've got any sense. Risks were taken in that particular regard. So we had this whole piece of the sexed up intelligence being debated at the time, the fact that the Prime Minister could not be seen to have made a decision until the UN resolutions had either been approved or not. And of course, we didn't have any presence in the Gulf, whereas the Americans had already got air bases in Qatar, they'd already got all their military bases in Kuwait, which had never left. So all our logistic infrastructure had come home because we're such a small army, or such small armed forces in comparison to others. And it's not like flying a Tornado or a Harrier to the Middle East. It's not something that just happens. This is a complex sort of fighting machine that has to be put together. And we were miles behind the power curve. I mean, miles behind the power curve. And I could not believe the extent to which people would not even look at the potential for wanting to develop our equipment. Because that would send the wrong message, according to all those who were going to sit in their suits and not put their blood on the line. And I think that's what I found so frustrating. None of these people ever gets out of their comfortable little sitting room and goes to do what these boys and girls have done. I would be the first to say that people like Mike Jackson and Richard Dannett and so on have been hugely brave, have gone and been prepared to put their blood on the line themselves. They both have, and you don't get MCs unless you've done the business like Richard Dannett. They, of course, cannot be seen publicly to criticise anybody or to say that we're not ready to go, but their frustration must have been enormous during these particular months leading up to our deployment. Were the soldiers ready to go? Absolutely. The soldiers are going to do it, whatever. Did they buy their own equipment? Absolutely. Did they buy their own boots? Yes. Have they always done it? Yes. Is it right? No. But they don't mind. Actually, they don't mind. Was there sufficient body armour out there? No. Should there have been? Absolutely. We should hold it as a stock anyway, for the whole army. But it's all about how much can you afford or not afford. And of course, in many respects, the army, as opposed to the Air Force and the Navy, is very cheap, because planes are enormously expensive, ships are enormously expensive. But there are far more moving parts to get a formation onto the ground in the military, so it accumulates. And the tragedy is that all these soldiers who've gone out and fought in the Gulf and in Afghanistan totally understand that that's what they've signed up for. They have no difficulty going and doing it. They do it for the person who's standing next door to them, their mate in the trench. They're not going to question the politics of why they're there, because all soldiers believe it's their duty to do what they've been told to go and do, and it's a matter of honour and pride in their regiment, battalion, company, squadron, troop, platoon, whatever it is, that they will go and do their absolute best. Many talk about leaving at the end of it all, particularly in a place like Afghanistan, where the fighting is bloody and violent. But, interestingly, very few leave, and this isn't just about the economic downturn that's occurred and everything. It's actually, do you know what? I don't think I could live without my mates. After everything we've been through, and yeah, it's honesty, it's integrity, it's loyalty, mateship, as the Australians call it, humour, resilience, courage, moral and physical, that they display, which is why I actually think that this nation in 2009 is just beginning to wake up to what a great set of guys and girls actually go out there from all three services to do their business.